Our research has shown that remote workers are hurricane resilient workers. Good afternoon. I am Dr. Mark Benden. I am the Center Director for the Center for Worker Health here at Texas A&M. I'm also the department head for the Environmental and Occupational Health Department at the School of Public Health at Texas A&M. Our research has shown that when these natural disasters occur, companies that have invested in remote workers and their technology, those workers are able to quickly, in fact, less than 30 days, get back up to speed and be productive. Now, keep in mind, during those 30 days, there's the family, the human element, the pets, the things that have to be taken care of on a personal level. We can't really overlook that. But from a business perspective, this is a really outstanding way to help your company prepare and be ready, is to have this remote workforce option in place. The lessons I think we learned from these storms for the tech workers, the office workers, is that they have essentially built in a redundancy. And when you think about contingency planning for disasters and for sudden events, one of the easiest things to do is to have redundancy. So in this case, imagine having two places where one worker could operate in either environment equally well. And that's certainly what our research found, was that they could operate remotely from actually multiple locations equally well as they could in a really well outfitted modern office environment. And that was a big breakthrough. That's a big change. Normally when you pull people out of their primary environment and drop them into another one, there's a loss to the business in productivity and output. We just didn't see that after about 30 days. It returned to at least the same levels, and in some individuals it even exceeded the levels of productivity and output that they were able to have in the traditional office. So I do believe this is a technological advantage that we now have today as a result of some of the things that we've seen. And having a company, for instance, able to have you take your technology with you out the door when you leave the office and be ready to operate fully from wherever you go, that's pretty amazing. Most companies who work in coastal areas in Florida have contingency plans for this type of situation. So they practice, they plan, they prepare. They have locations where employees can go to work. They have portable server centers, for instance, that can be rolled up in an 18-wheeler and set up with a generator. And so they have a lot of backups that many places around the country wouldn't normally think of. And that is just part of doing business in some of those coastal areas. Very concerned, obviously, about the ones that are not office, which tends to be the easiest to relocate, right? We have laptops and we can pick up and move and go someplace else and work from home or work remotely. When you're building products and you're assembling things and you're manufacturing things, constructing things, and suddenly that place is gone, your work is stopped. And so getting those folks back to where they're able to do what they used to do before the storm is, I think, the hardest part, and that'll be the longest part of the story. The challenge, though, is that they are dealing with more basic needs. So they need clean water, they need food, they need shelter. Oftentimes they're dealing with pets and children, and they've got to look after their needs. So finding the resources to be able to do what is normally done wherever you lived before the storm, it takes about a month for many of these families to get to that point, and that's quite honestly on the well-resourced side. Starting in early 2017 and through all of 2018, we had made plans to study a workplace here in Texas, in Houston along the Gulf Coast. And it was really interesting as a large, major corporation. They happened to be in the energy sector. They were really interested in their workers and how they could keep them safe. And so tracking metrics every second of every day, actually hundreds of metrics, and trying to understand that data was fascinating. We had big plans for it. But it turns out in August of 2017, it was interrupted for Hurricane Harvey. And what that ended up meaning to the science was that we suddenly had a very real study with thousands of workers going on that we hadn't planned, which is sometimes the best kind. And we were able to figure out what happens when that many workers are displaced suddenly. What our data showed was that the workers, because of things like technology, everybody seems to carry mobile technology now. We have portable computing, we have the powerful smartphones. They were able to reconnect to work and actually start getting their regular work done within about a month, which was really shocking to us because we had no idea how long it was going to take for these workers who were out of their office workplace. Now you have to keep in mind this is before the COVID pandemic put many of us into the home or remote work situation. So we found that these workers could very quickly, in lots of cases around 30 days or less, get back up to their full normal work capacity, the amount of time they spend on the computer, their output, their productivity. And that was super helpful for those companies to kind of get back on their feet. I think they're well prepared as you can possibly be for a storm of this magnitude. But certainly, again, it's the small businesses that we worry about. The small businesses don't have, for instance, a rally point with a hotel with 100 rooms rented out that will serve as offices for the next 6 months for their employees.